Now, while the cold weather conditions persist across the country, Eskom has announced stage 6, this rolling blackouts until further notice. In Johannesburg, City Power is urging residents to use electricity sparingly. And the entity says the cold front, along with rolling blackouts, will likely result in a possible overloading of their network. Extended hours in the dark are also leaving people rather fearful, vulnerable and anxious. And our reporter, Aviwe Mtila, is following through with the story. Joining me now to give us the very latest updates. Aviwe, a very warm good morning to you. It seems stage 6, quite an inconvenience to all South Africans, to residents. But from where you stand, what's the latest?
Good morning, Dumelo. A bit of tension in the streets of Jeppes Town here as City Power is on a mission to cut off illegally connected hijacked buildings. They are about to cut off some 3 buildings in Jeppes Town, but it seems they're getting some resistance. These would be the residents that stay in these hijacked buildings, and City Power is now trying to gain entrance, but seemingly the residents don't want them to go in. The current building that they're in on Betty Street is actually still being closed off. There are negotiations happening there on the ground. These are the operations that City Power does time and again, Dumelo, but it seems now they've brought reinforcements because this very issue of them not being allowed into these buildings is something that's persistent time and again. They now brought in the help from the SAPA, South African Police Service, as well as JMPD to come assist with them. I'm not sure if I can get some word from the residents here to find out what their reservations are. Putwam? Kwenzeka ntoni apha bathini?
Nenzani lana nizogqeza lana nenzani lana niyagqeza lana nenzani phambi kwenu amaphoyisa nangaphoyisa niyagqeza lana nenzani la niyagqeza kahle kahle
Kuthiwa ugesi awukhokhwa lana.
Siyakhokha mfowethu manje laphana yini inkinga
Nikhokha kuphi baba? Kuthiwa ugesi awukhokhwa kula mabhilidi bazawucima umbane wenu.
Yebo, ugesi awukhokhwa. Iflat leli beli under indaba yakhona isecourt. Indaba yalama flat la isecourt. Abantu ade bengakhothi inina rich. Ngenkathi inina rich yebe ingakhokhi ama flat la.
Nina niyakhokha njengabahlali balapha kodwa bathi elibility is one of those hijacked buildings. Nihlala njani lana? Bathi le bility intshontshiwe.
Intshontsho ubani? Mana ibility leli beli under inina rich. Ibhilidi beli under nina rich. Manje senintshontshiwe ngoba naku singabhadari rent. Asibhadari rent ngoba liphethwe abantu baseKongo ibhilidi leli.
Oh, liphethwe ngabantu baseKongo, anibhadali rent, anibhadali gas.
Indaba yakhona isecourt, indaba yakhona.
Okay, so we're hearing that, Dumelo, that this matter is in court. The residents tell me that they don't pay rent here, they don't pay electricity, which is why I'd assume City Power, in fact, is on this mission. We're going to walk inside. I've got Isaac Mangena here from the power utility. City Power. Isaac, maybe tell us about today's operations first.
Thank you very much for having us, and good morning to the viewers. Yes, today we are basically in Jeppes Town. This is one of the hotspots of illegal connections within the city of Johannesburg. But our focus today is basically around these hijacked buildings where electricity and other services are being used. And so we are targeting about 4 hijacked buildings across. On this street alone, we've got about 3 of those, collectively owing City Power about 13 million rands. And the other one is basically inside town next to Doornfontein. That is the building that we'll be targeting. We are targeting this because of the dangers that illegal connections are posing, especially in this kind of building. Just 2 streets away from here in 2021, we had about 9 people dying in a fire, and there were reports that the fire was started by illegal connections at Kazen building that time. So we don't want situations where people will basically die because of this kind of things, but also building up from the sad incident that happened in another building within the city where people died. We don't want that kind of situation. As the city, we will go out and ensure that we close off all these hijacked building, and those that we are able to trace the owners, be able to do so that they can also come back and look after whatever the bill that is out there. As I mentioned to you, we are sitting at about 13 million from this 3 buildings.
It seems like you're once again receiving resistance. As time and again you try these operations, you get this very resistance. How sure are you that once you've turned your backs after cutting off the electricity, these residents won't reconnect?
We always get resistance from the tenants. Obviously, they are stealing the services, and they wouldn't want you to take that comfort away from them. And we have seen this all over wherever we are going. And even the building that people died, we have gone there about 8 times, and with those 8 operations, only 2 of them were successful. All the 6 of them were turned away because of the threats that our teams were facing. But currently we've got the police and the JMPD to basically escort our teams to ensure that they do their job, and we really are thankful for that. And we are inside, as you can see currently. We had to break the door open so that we can access our transformers. And what we are doing currently, which is what we did last week, was basically to ensure that we take away the infrastructure, which includes the transformer that is in the basement.
I want to then maybe move along to load shedding. We're on stages 5 and 6 currently. Surely, I want to get to the crux of the issue. Are you maintaining the relevant infrastructure to ensure we have lesser stages of load shedding?
City Power does maintain the infrastructure, but as you know, load shedding is a national problem. It's controlled by Eskom. So City Power is also told by Eskom that there is load shedding. So it's not something that we impose as an entity, but we do maintenance to our network. And I think if you look at the past few months, we've had fewer incidents of breakdowns. We've had fewer, or actually no incident of fire in the past few months. So because of the strict maintenance regime that we have embarked upon to ensure that we deal with all this, and we will basically continue to do so, and we are hoping that the higher stages of load shedding will basically have some mercy so that we can be able to, otherwise currently we are not able to do some of this maintenance because of these higher stages of load shedding.
What are you doing on your side at City Power? Because we're told by City Power even that the system is not meant to be switched on and off. Communities are left in the dark for longer hours now. What's your assistance in all of this as City Power?
Obviously, it's difficult and gets difficult every day. Every time we try to basically ensure that we keep up with these higher stages of load shedding, and we have actually buckled under in the past with more calls coming from customers because of the outages that are happening. The infrastructure, as you rightfully pointed out, was never meant to be switched on and off at shorter intervals. So we are basically not winning in terms of this, and the more higher stages are imposed, the more problems that we are having as City Power. We are losing about 3.6 million rand on a daily basis every time there is load shedding, and we're expecting that to actually even go up because of the more resources that we need. Currently, as I'm talking to you, we don't have enough material in store. We don't have cable, we don't have enough cables, we don't have enough joints, we don't have enough mini substations and even transformers. So those are some of the problems that we are facing.
Okay, thank you very much, Isaac Mangena from City Power, as of course mentioning that while the system is not meant to be switched on and off, they themselves maybe need to do a bit more maintenance. But we do know, of course, situation in Jeppes Town, yeah, they're on a mission to cut off the illegally connected hijacked buildings. Residents themselves confirming that they don't pay rent, nor do they pay any electricity, part of the 13 million rand that's owed to City Power by these hijacked buildings. 4 of them that will be targeted today, 3 of them around Jeppes Town. But of course, you can see on the ground much resistance from the people that occupy these hijacked buildings.
And also you can hear and understand, Aviwe, quite a complex issue, because from the resident you spoke to, it seems like the matter regarding who is responsible for the building is still in court. They're saying that the building is owned by a Congolese national who took over, but it seems the contents and the details of that matter are still inside court. Well, of course, we could see the raging anger there by some of the residents, and hopefully you'll be safe there, colleague, as we could see them now turning to the camera and showing a bit of aggression there towards the camera. We'll come out of it, Aviwe, so that you and our cameraman can, of course, handle the situation. Those engagements quite intensifying between residents as well as City Power at this stage, just lamenting them cutting off their electricity.